You thought you were doing something small. A little seed. A little kindness. A few birds in the yard on a quiet morning. But something happened the moment you started filling that feeder every single day. Something you didn't sign up for. Something nobody warned you about. Those birds stopped being visitors. They became residents. And you became the reason they're still alive. Right now, while you're reading this, there is a bird. A cardinal, a chickadee, a small warm body no heavier than a handful of coins, whose entire survival is built around one assumption, that you will show up tomorrow morning. It has reorganized its territory around your yard. It has adjusted its sleep, its foraging, its daily rhythm around your routine. It has watched you long enough to recognize your jacket, your walk, the sound of your back door opening. It has, in the only way a wild animal can, decided to trust you. And what happens when that trust breaks, when the feeder goes empty for a week, when life gets in the way, when you leave for vacation and forget, is something most people never think about until the yard goes quiet in a way that feels wrong. These are the 8 things that happen when you feed birds every day. And the last one will change the way you look at that feeder forever. Their bodies change. A black-capped chickadee weighs less than 5 nickels. And every single winter night, that tiny body burns through almost a third of its own weight just to stay warm until morning. Not to fly. Not to forage. Just to survive the dark. That means when the sun rises, that bird is not casually looking for food. It is in a race against its own metabolism. Every minute of failed foraging is a minute closer to collapse. Now place a feeder in its territory. Fill it every morning with black oil sunflower seeds, calorie-dense, easy to crack, reliable as sunrise. What happens to that bird's body is measurable. Researchers at Cornell Lab of Ornithology have documented it clearly. Birds with consistent access to quality supplemental feeding show increased fat reserves, stronger muscle mass, and significantly better survival rates through late winter. The most dangerous stretch of the cold season, when natural seeds are buried, frozen, or already eaten. Cardinals in feeder territories in northern states weigh measurably more than cardinals in similar habitats without feeders. Not a little more. Significantly more. The kind of difference that determines whether a bird makes it to spring or becomes one of the millions that quietly disappear between January and March. Here is what that means in plain terms. The cardinal at your feeder right now, on a bitter January morning, is probably alive because of you. Not as a metaphor. Literally. That bird's fat reserves, the fuel it will burn tonight when temperatures drop and the wind picks up, came partly from your seed. You didn't just feed it. You built it. You gave it the physical reserves to endure something it might not have survived alone. And it has no idea what you sacrificed to do it. It only knows the food was there. Their world reorganizes around you. Birds are territorial by nature. Every cardinal, every nuthatch, every titmouse patrols a space it considers its own, defending it from rivals, learning every branch and seed head and shadow within its range. That territory exists for one reason: survival. More space means more food. More food means more life. But when a feeder appears in the middle of that territory, reliable, concentrated, effortless, the math changes completely. Why patrol half an acre when everything you need is right here? Studies published in the Journal of Avian Biology found that birds with access to consistent feeders reduced their foraging range by 30 to 40% on average. The territory didn't disappear. It compressed. It folded inward, tighter and tighter, until your yard sat at the very center of it. Your house became the anchor point of a living creature's entire world. That's why the same cardinal appears at your feeder every single morning. It's not a coincidence. It's not loyalty in the human sense. It's geography. Your yard is its territory now. You made it so the moment you gave it a reason to stay. And this reorganization goes deeper than space. It changes how the bird sleeps, roosting closer to the feeder. It changes where it hides from predators, using the shrubs nearest to the food source. It changes where it sings in breeding season. Staking claim to the space it has decided is worth defending. Everything radiates outward from your feeder. You placed a seed in a tray. And somewhere out there, a small wild creature quietly restructured the entire geography of its life around that decision. It built its world around yours. And it did it without asking, without knowing, without any way to understand that the center of its universe is a person who just wanted to see some birds. They learn you. You think you are watching the birds. You stand at the window with your coffee and you observe them, the flash of red in the branches, the quick nervous movements, the way the nuthatch always descends the tree head first. You notice them. But they noticed you first. And they are far better at it than you are. Birds process visual information at a speed that makes human perception look sluggish. A chickadee can assess your body language, register your movement pattern, and decide whether you are a threat or a non-threat in under a second. Researchers studying corvid cognition at the University of Washington found that crows can distinguish individual human faces, remembering specific people who threatened them years earlier and altering their behavior accordingly. Your backyard songbirds don't have that same facial recognition. But they have something functionally close. They recognize you by silhouette. By gait. By the particular jacket you wear on cold mornings. By the exact sound of your back door and the time it opens. They've been building a profile of you since the first week. And once the pattern is established, they act on it before you do. The chickadee that arrives at your feeder before you filled it isn't early by accident. It heard something, a footstep, a door, a familiar sound, and it flew to the place it knows food follows. Within a week of consistent feeding, many birds will begin arriving in anticipation. Within a month, some will vocalize near your door when you're late. Researchers describe this as attention-seeking behavior directed at the food source. The food source is you. You have been observed, catalogued, and filed under safe by a creature weighing less than an ounce. That trust took weeks to build. It can be broken in a single morning. The weight of being chosen. This last part isn't about biology. It's about something quieter. Something that doesn't have a clean scientific name but that anyone who has kept a feeder long enough eventually feels. The birds at your feeder didn't have to come back. There are other yards. Other feeders. Other people who scatter seed on cold mornings. That cardinal in your oak tree could be somewhere else right now. That chickadee waiting on the branch closest to your door. It could be cracking open wild seeds in the woods behind your house, the way its species has done for thousands of years. It chose your yard instead. Not randomly. Not blindly. It came back because you were consistent. Because you were safe. Because every morning you showed up and the food was there, and over time that repetition became something the bird built its life around. That's what makes the loss so hard when it comes. When feeders go empty and stay empty. Through vacation, through illness, through the ordinary chaos of a life that gets busy, the birds don't understand why. They only know that the thing they reorganized their world around has disappeared. Some will leave and find new territories. Some will wait longer than they should. Some, in the wrong season, in the wrong cold snap, with their fat reserves already spent, will not make it. You didn't intend that. Nobody does. You just wanted to see a little color in the yard. A little life outside the window. But the moment you made that feeder part of their survival, the moment the first bird restructured its territory, its schedule, its body around your seed, you became something more than a bystander. You became part of their world. And they became part of yours. That is not a small thing. It was never a small thing.